This meeting has been provided by posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall by mail to the Ridgewood News, the record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same is provided by law of a schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Councilman Hache?
Here.
Councilman Seaton?
Here.
Councilman Voigt? Here. Councilwoman Walsh?
Here.
Mayor Newton?
Here. Please stand for the flag salute. We're going to have a moment of silence, but before we do, I just wanted to say, this past weekend I worked on Jamboree Need-Based Scholarship Program, raised over $150,000 for Ridgewood High School seniors, and tonight the gentlemen are here from Dad's Night, and it reminds me, our school community, how important it is and how much a part of our lives it is. And the tragedy that occurred, the senseless tragedy that occurred in Florida today, reminds us all, especially any day, but today it's Ash Wednesday, it's Valentine's Day, and it is just another heart-wrenching day in our nation. And so we'll have a moment of silence, as always, for our men and women serving our nation and our first responders, but especially for all of those who are facing a devastating loss and pain and suffering today. So, please. Thank you. All right, with that. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statements of funds on hand as of January 31st, 2018 be accepted as submitted.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. I move that the Village Council minutes of January 17th, 2018, having been reviewed by the Village Council, now available in the Village Clerk's office, be approved as submitted. Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. And now we have proclamations. Okay. I'll be reading the first one, which is Dad's Night, Somerville Hawes. Somerville Hawes Dad's Night, as a former Dad's Night mom. Whereas the Village of Ridgewood treasures its children, and whereas our school system supports and nurtures our children, and whereas Dad's Night has helped our schools by raising hundreds of thousands of dollars over the past 70 years, and whereas Dad's Night is dedicated to providing this service to the village's children, and whereas this year's event will be titled Dad's Night 74, Dad's Got Talent. Now, therefore, the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim Friday, March 9th, 2018, and Saturday, March 10th, 2018, as Dad's Night days at both Somerville and Hawes Elementary Schools in the Village of Ridgewood in honor of all the dads here this evening, as well as all those who have volunteered before them. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that our village attorney was also a Dad's Night dad.
Right.
Okay, chairman, I believe, 1 year.
Many years ago.
How many years? Two? A couple of years?
16, I think.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
16 years ago.
And you haven't
great
aged,
Somerville
you haven't
Hawes
aged
event
a
in
day.
the community,
You know
so
that?
we...
That's why I was going to question the proclamation about Dad's Got Talent. I was just, they must have improved or taken acting lessons since I left.
So, do you want to read, why don't you read that one first,
sure.
and then we're going to
Yeah.
step down and do the Dad's Night presentation.
So whereas the National Education Association's Read Across America will be conducted on March 2nd, 2018, as a national celebration of reading and the birthday of Theodore Zeus Geisel, better known as Dr. Zeus. And whereas Read Across America NJ will be observed statewide by the New Jersey Education Association in partnership with the New Jersey State League of Municipalities, the New Jersey Library Association, and their loyal affiliates across the state to promote reading and adult involvement in the education of our community students. And whereas the citizens of the Village of Ridgewood stand firmly committed to promoting reading as the catalyst for our students' future academic success, their preparation for America's jobs in the future, and their ability to compete in the global economy. And whereas the Village of Ridgewood has provided significant leadership in the area of community involvement in the education of our youth, grounded in the principle that educational investment is the key to the community's well-being and long-term quality of life. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood calls on the citizens of the Village of Ridgewood to assure that every child is in a safe place reading together with a caring adult on March 2nd, 2018, and be it further resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood enthusiastically endorses the NEA's Read Across America and recommits the Village of Ridgewood to engage in programs and activities to make American children the best readers in the world.
Thank you. And we're just going to step down and do a little Dad's Night proclamation presentation. And tell us about this year's show and what y'all do.
Okay.
And how you raise money.
Okay. Sure. So I'm Chris Kaufman. I'm the Hawes chairman this year. Dad's Night is really our theme and our whole way of Dad's Night is friends, family, community, and that's what Dad's Night is about. It's about being a part of the community, not just. It's one thing to be in the community, it's another thing to be a part of the community, to actually feel like you're doing something to benefit and to make things better, and that's what we do in Dad's Night. We raise money for the school. We recently at Hawes just installed a new playground. A lot of the equipment that you see in the classrooms is equipment money that we've raised has benefited the kids, and one of the ways we do that is we sell ads and put it in the booklet. We really heavily promote the businesses in town, and that's another way we give back to the community. It's not just about Hawes and Somerville, it's about Ridgewood in general, and that's what we're all about, and I want to thank you all for coming tonight.
So my name is Todd Patton, chairman of Somerville, and everything Chris said, it's similar. We do the same thing, obviously, with Somerville. All the money goes back in school, but I think one thing that's important, too, it's not just about the schools. We also have, what's interesting, a contest every year, which I think is interesting, that all the kids in the Somerville and Hawes schools have the opportunity to write an essay about a charity. And so they write their essays, they submit them to the two principals, and each principal will pick a child whose essay they feel demonstrates the reason they want to give. And during the show, the kids get to get up on stage, they get a big giant check that we have printed, and we get to donate $500 on their behalf to those charities. So it's another way we give back to the community. So thank you.
So we thank you all again and for all your work to the betterment of our students and to the school. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Did we want to? And with that, we'll move to public comment, not to exceed 3 minutes per person, for a total of 40 minutes. Good evening.
Mayor and Council. Saurabh Dani, 390 Bedford Road, Ridgewood. You're going to vote today on a resolution 1841 and 1842 to award a contract for customer billing portal for $157,840. I sent an email last week after the last meeting that I could not find the bid posted on the village website, and because it was mentioned during the last week's meeting that a bid was posted, there was only one package picked up and there was only one respondent. And I have generally seen in the past that there are a lot of data collection companies or other providers that collect the packet. They may not submit the bid. So we have seen a lot of only one bid was submitted, but we have not seen one package was picked up. So I went to the village website to see when the bid was posted, and I could not see a bid. So I did receive a response for Councilman Seaton that we will look into the process and try to improve that, but I have not received a response, or maybe you have looked at it, that when the bid was posted and where was it posted. So in today's resolution, it's changed to sole provider. And for sole providers, you don't have to do the bidding and you don't have to go through the process. So whether it is a sole provider or whether the bid was done or not. So that's still an open question to residents. And to follow up on that, because last time it was said that bid was done and today it's being said it's sole provider. And if it's a sole provider, in case of the tax rebate card, you did went to a provider which is outside New Jersey, because if it's a sole provider, you don't have to stay within New Jersey. So if it's a San Francisco-based company and if they are a sole provider, why are we going through a middleman in Rio Supply? So, because Rio Supply doesn't own the software. It's when you look at WaterSmart is a San Francisco-based company. They have their own website, they have their own direct sales channel. So why are we going through Rio Supply? For a sole provider, we should be able to go outside New Jersey. And if they are selling it through resellers, then one reseller cannot be the sole provider. So I hope you look into that if you are getting a hosted software through a third-party company which is based in New Jersey, who is going to provide the services, who is going to provide support on that. If there is a dispute, who are you going to call for any update, support, any of that? So that is just on the bidding and purchasing process. And last week we heard that there will be a single sign-on with the current billing provider, that users will be able to log on with their current billing provider, and then they will be redirected to the new website, or they will be able to click on a new website. I have seen in my software development or software experience, when you have two different softwares and users are logging on to one platform and then they have to click on the other, the users are always confused. And for the staff, it's a lot of extra maintenance, labor costs to maintain two different software. So I hope it's not just a single sign-on. There is a migration path to migrate from one to the other. Thank you.
Okay. Just before anybody else comes up, I'm just going to answer those couple of questions, and I'll apologize in advance because by the time we got out of our Friday meeting about this, it was rather late, and it got past me to get back to you on it. The software that's being provided is compatible with the Neptune meters that are installed in everybody's homes, so that was an important factor, and it was the only provider that was compatible with that. The bid was actually, I know there was a question about how long the bid was out. It required 10 days. It was actually out for 19 days, and the sole provider was the only one that responded to it. In terms of, let me just see the other question. We broke it out a little bit differently this time around by showing the cost involved with the actual software, which is the analytics piece, and separated out the cost of the reports, because that is required in order to get the word out and have everybody sign on to this. There was one other question, I think maybe, do you want to come up and just answer that real quick? And that was the question about whether or not you had to go through Rio for the software as I guess like a distributor.
Sure. So
Just make sure the...
Rio Supply,
Is the microphone on?
Make sure you bring it up so you can talk.
And bring it up.
Dan Timoney, Business Manager, Ridgewood Water. So Rio Supply, the reason Rio Supply submitted the bid is that Neptune, from whom we get our meters, they're our meter company, Neptune has established a national partnership with WaterSmart. So as a result, WaterSmart is partnering with anybody who is currently using Neptune meters and leveraging the metering capabilities to then automate their processes at scale. So it's a lot simpler for them to do this across the board, establish a single process for a certain type of meter and leverage that wherever that meter is used rather than try to reinvent the wheel for a bunch of different places. So as a result, Rio Supply worked with WaterSmart on the submission of the bid, and that's how that came to be. In terms of single sign-on functionality, so single sign-on functionality, here it's a true integration. So WaterSmart partners with only, I believe it's 2 or 3 total payment processing companies. The payment processing company used by our billing provider happens to be one of those companies. So there is true integration there, so it's not the type of clunky process that one would expect or just like an awkward shift to another site. It's actually a fully password protected, encrypted, third-party automated, third-party security assessment, penetration tested, all of the things that accompany security protocols for single sign-on is present and will be maintained. And again, it's not this large pool of payment processors. There's a really small defined number where we could have even pursued that as a piece of the bid that we asked for.
Okay, great. So again, apologies for not finishing up that email, and but I think all the questions have been answered, so thanks, Dan. Public comment continues. Yes, sir. Good
Rob
evening.
Peacock, 252 Lakeview Drive. Just want to say, bring to your attention, we received a letter late January on Lakeview Drive about the Kings Pond project.
Rob, can you just speak into the microphone?
Oh, usually I don't need one, I'm loud enough, but okay. Here to just bring up about the Kings Pond project that's, I guess, in front of you folks for work. It's a beautification of the parkland and things like that. Most of the neighborhood is ecstatic about it. There's just one concern the neighbors seem to have, and the plans I've seen call from, we have presently about 8 or 9 parking spots down there. The new plan is calling for about 25 parking spots. And that seems to be a concern by most of the neighbors in the community that have been around. I'm here 22 years. My wife was born in the house or raised. You know, we have a lot of longevity in the street and a lot of neighbors that are concerned about it. We're very thankful that you folks are looking into this project and beautifying the park because we all have a concern for the park. We've all been involved in cleaning it over the years and after Sandy, cutting trees back and stuff like that. But the concern is the parking.
Okay.
We'd like that to be looked at if we could, maybe minimize it a little bit more. Because all we see down the last 15, 20 years that's enjoying that area right now are teenagers smoking and drinking. And it's just, you know, if you talk to the police, there's been quite a few arrests down there over the years. And that's a concern of ours that we might be opening up more for the kids to appreciate more than the residents or the seniors or the adults that would really enjoy a natural park. So that's our concern is the parking. And we ask you that maybe if you ask for input from the residents or the engineer. I've spoken to Chris, and he knows he has my number, and I'd be glad to help in any way, shape, or form because I have a law enforcement background, and you know, I'm here to help. But again, the neighbors want to thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Rob, and I think that's something we certainly can look at and take a look at. So thanks, Rob. Anyone else?
Hi, Siobhan Cran-Winograd, 274 Ivy Place. So I'm here for public comment, but it's like half comment, half question, so I don't know if you can answer some of the things. You know, the last two meetings, I saw the no-knock policy come on, and I'm happy it's not on here because I wasn't a fan of it moving forward. But during that process, I was thinking, you know, how does an item like that get on the agenda? Because there was very little championship for it here. Nobody was coming and asking for it, and most of the comment regarding it was pretty, you know, saying it was an overreach and would be a burden on law enforcement, which I agree with. But during that time, I was thinking there's several things that I've submitted, and nobody wants to bother you, but you also do want to be true to your cheer agenda, when you write something and you don't want to bother the council and come back. So there's a couple things that I've written, and I don't know how to move it forward without continuing emailing or bothering, so I figured I would come to public comment. I'm a little interested to see in some of the feedback about the Ridgewood Rules of Order, if we could have a discussion. I don't know if this is the place or it would go to a subcommittee, and I really don't know where to go. The other thing that I was interested in is after the Oprah discussion, I had noticed that you used to have a tagline to the notification, like if you wrote council and they wrote you back, it would be heads up, this is Oprahable, and that's fallen off. The Board of Ed is still using it, and I thought those were some quick, easy wins, and I didn't want to keep going back to it. So I'm really interested in how, if you have an issue like that, other than emailing into an abyss or endlessly, how you could move it forward. And then lastly, I didn't write you about this yet because I was coming today, so I figured I'd go for 3 things all in one. I'm wondering if the village and any of the boards that utilize village resources, such as an attorney, has a policy on social media, not a punitive policy, but over the past couple weeks, I would say, we're seeing, as a member of the general public, you see a person who's on a board in a role identify on that role and then later on speak to an issue. And it's becoming confusing to people in the public. Are they speaking as the individual? And this will happen in a small town, or are they speaking as that role? And when I worked for a corporation, we had a netiquette class, we had a social media disclaimer, and it talked about what you could and could not do in the capacity of the company. I'm wondering, does Ridgewood have that, and do you think it would be valuable into looking? Because as a member of the public, there were several, Facebook is the way of life, strings where people were identifying in one role, and then 5 minutes later saying something, and you're like, wait, are they saying that to me in their role or as an individual? Because they don't have 2 profiles. So that's sort of my public comment question. I know that you don't have to answer it, but I was sort of hoping you would.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
So, we'll take care of it in a second. I knew somebody else was waiting.
Good evening, Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I want to echo on some of the comments that Mr. Donnie made regarding this billing software or analysis software. With all due respect to Dan, you've got a number of different companies involved in this piece of the pie. He mentioned Neptune, he mentioned Rio, and he mentioned WaterSmart. Each of them is going to get some of the tax, or in this case, water subscribers' dollars. Nobody is in this not to make money. So now, with just this one piece of software, you've got 3 people who've got their hands in it: Neptune, Rio, and WaterSmart. Now you've got a second piece of software that's the billing software. It just seems like a lot of people are involved in this, and I don't know why there's a middleman. To Mr. Donnie's point, WaterSmart owns this product. Can't we go to WaterSmart and get a better deal than going through a middleman? I don't understand it. Again, I know that there's going to be some discussion later about it, so perhaps this can be better explained. It also concerns me that there are going to still be 2 pieces of software. There's the software that runs the billing, and then there's this analysis software. Isn't there one product that can do it all, or are we forced to have 2 separate vendors and paying the cost and the complexity of dealing with 2 separate vendors? If there's one person that can do it all, perhaps we should be reaching out to the one person that can do it all. And as you pointed out, Mayor, there have been some changes with respect to the billing process. We had initially thought it was going to be $157,000 a year for 3 years. I just read the new resolution, and that's cut back. However, the thing that concerns me about the new resolution is that we are going to be charged on a per-report basis. So who's keeping track of the number of reports that are generated? It says that we're going to be charged up to $75,000 a year, depending upon the number of reports that the water company runs. I'm assuming that's the number of reports that are run by subscribers. So who's going to keep an accurate count as to whether or not $75,000 worth of reports were run, or were there only $5,000 of reports that are run? So I've got a lot of concerns about this whole process. My major concern is that there seem to be a lot of hands involved in it, and anytime somebody's hand is involved in it, that means there's somebody who's reaching for money. And I really think that this has to be further investigated. This is a lot of money each year, and I don't really know if it's necessary. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening, Rorick Halaby, 374 Evergreen Place. I'd like to talk about Shedler. A friend of mine told me, don't waste your breath, it's a done deal. Well, with the financial challenges that Ridgewood residents will be facing with the so-called Tax Reform Act, I suggest the village put a clamp on spending any money on the house until someone can provide the residents with a report detailing what makes this such an important historical edifice. I have yet to see a report by anyone. I mean, we talk here about Connolly and Hickey. Have they put anything on the house that says why it should be saved, why it should be restored? What will it cost to preserve or restore it? And what is meant by restoring, preserving? How about the inside? The bathrooms and kitchen to be restored to what condition and which era? Tear out the bathrooms and reopen the outhouse circa 1820? We need a plan. I mean, what's going to happen with the house? What will the house be used for? Someone crazily suggested using the house to store historical documents. How much will it cost to fireproof the house to be able to save historical documents there? What is the estimated total cost of the project? Does anyone have any idea? Do you, Mayor? Has anyone put a budget on the total cost? You have black rot, you have asbestos, you have this, you have that, you have lead paint, and this will have to be restored to exacting standards. It isn't like some guy having a house and calling Harry to do some shoddy job. You can't do that. It's going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not $1 million or more. But has anyone estimated that? I haven't seen it. And then also, what is the estimate of future annual staffing, insurance, and maintenance costs? Has anyone put a budget on that? I ask a question, I get a blank look because I realize this is public comment, not back and forth. But could anyone give me, as a resident, a taxpayer, what this house will cost? Do you know? Ms. Walsh, do you know? I don't think you do. No one knows.
Okay, it's public comment, it's not time
Yeah, okay,
to...
but this is a rhetorical question. It is a rhetorical question, ma'am.
Okay.
Now, talking about that, I think the mayor should recuse herself from any discussion on Shedler for perceived, if not real, conflict of interest. And in your own inimitable style, we are sliding down the slippery slope with no return. Now, mark my words, unless we stop this project in its track, unless we really come up with a study like that, which you owe to the residents of Ridgewood, we'll find ourselves in a couple of years with an expensive white elephant. It's a shame. We have to save every penny we can. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I'd like to just generally thank you for your very prompt approval of minutes like tonight, which is February 14th. You're already approving the minutes from January 17th. This is such a complete change from a couple of years ago where it would literally be a year and a half. But it's really difficult to find these minutes on the website. I'm not saying that they're not there, but I'm saying that they're really hard to find. So I'm not sure if there is a lag time between when the minutes are approved by you guys, which is very prompt, to when they're available online to the public. So again, I'm not sure whether it's a fault of the website, which even you guys have admitted the website is problematic, or whether there's some kind of delay between their approval and their being posted. But for example, minutes from this past October, I can't find them. Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay, we're going to close public comment. I'm just going to get to a couple of the questions or issues that were raised. We'll start with Siobhan. The rules of order, which are outlined in Robert's Rules of Order. The document that you provided appeared to me to have a couple of errors on that. I also felt that, from my perspective, it was not a thorough review of a process, and this is a very intricate process. But I will sit down with the village manager and go through it, because there are some questions about the procedures that, no, you could sit, you know, no, it's not a question, nope. Just, no, we're not, I'm just responding to the inquiry. So I will call you and we could go over it and I'll explain that to you and I'll discuss with the village manager. But it's certainly outlined, protocol, decorum is outlined in our village ordinances, and the procedures in a meeting are straightforward, and I don't want to be too oversimplifying sometimes a difficult process that goes in and out of different types of meetings. So, but we'll sit down and go over it, and I'll give you a call, and we can, and Janice, I know, worked on it as well. To Mr. Loving, there weren't 3 parties involved in the software. Neptune is the provider of that's the installed meter in everyone's house. And the issue is that there's only one company that will do that, and this is a portal which gets you to the billing. There are no hidden costs, there's nothing, it's a seamless merging of the 2 systems, and the long-term benefits, I believe in my heart, and just based on analysis, I think that they will be significant. And to Mr. Hallaby, it was the state of New Jersey who issued the certificate of eligibility for one of the last remaining early Dutch colonial homes. The particular vernacular of that architecture is significant in the state of New Jersey, and they also believe that it qualifies for not just the state historic registry, but quite possibly the National Historic Registry. There's a lot of history on the property, and we believe that the house, from a historical perspective, is certainly, we have an obligation to preserve history, and of course the question is to what cost involved in that, and I do believe that we've had some estimates, rough estimates, and we will be funding that primarily with, we will be funding that through matching grants, and we're confident that we're doing the right thing. In terms of my recusing, you know, we could go down this road for the next 100 years. You had your opportunity with the state weighed in, and we can send, you know, reports and information to the state and demand that the state take action in the local finance board and find me guilty and slap me with fines. The bottom line is there's no conflict. I campaigned on it. I have no interest in any property in the vicinity, and quite frankly, I wish we would end this nonsense discussion. So with that, the constant attacks, unfounded, unwarranted, gratuitous attacks are just plain wrong, and we should move on, and we will. So with that, manager's report.
Sure. I just wanted to mention one other thing. The customer, the reports are actually mailings to the customers to indicate how they sign up for the online portal, and gives them information about it and tells them about it. So it's actually reports being mailed to the homes, which will then direct the customers how to sign up. And so in the first year, it's 4 times so that people will get an idea of how to do so. Some may sign up right away, some may think about it and, you know, lose the paper, so then it'll be sent out again. In future years, we can choose between 0 to 4 reports. And so based on the sign-ups in the first year, we may cut it down to 3 or 2 or 1 or 0 during the year. But this is an advertising through Ridgewood Water to allow customers to sign up for the portal and the customer service app. So that's what the reports are. Okay, so manager's report, another app, Burbio app, as you know, last week we launched it. It is on our website. All you have to do is click on the button on the website. It allows Ridgewood School, government, library, and community events in one place. You can select calendars to follow, create a personalized event feed, sync events to your phone calendar instantly, and get notified when events may change. I want to remind everyone again, the removal of the sycamore tree at Graden Pool, the village arborist and an independent arborist have both deemed it to be, it must be removed because it's a major portion of the trunk is hollow, and therefore it poses a safety concern. If you'd like to photograph the tree, visit the tree, go see the tree, the last date we ask that you do so is February 19th, President's Day, this coming Monday. The Hudson Street parking garage update, the Village Council will be interviewing the various development companies who submitted RFPs for the parking garage next Wednesday, February 21st, beginning at 7 p.m. here in the courtroom. Each of the companies will be interviewed by the Village Council about approximately an hour each. They'll summarize their proposals and present their concept or concepts. Parking permits, I want to let you know the premium parking permits, which allow parking in the train station, Hudson Street, and Prospect Street lots, are now sold out. We still have the non-premium parking permits at $750. The park and ride permits, the non-resident permits for Central, which allows non-residents to park in the Cottage Place lot. All residents, if you commute, you can obtain a free resident sticker for your vehicle. So if you wanted to still park at the train station, you could do so by paying by Park Mobile or by coin. And we do have Central Business District employee permits also for sale. And they're all available at the reception desk during normal business hours. I want to remind you again about the expanded hours. The police department on Thursdays is open from 8:30 a.m. to 8:15 p.m. So anyone wishing to come in later in the day to pick up accident reports or police reports can do so later. The building department, although this building, most offices don't open until 8:30, the building department opens at 8 o'clock, and they are open to 4:30. I just want to remind you again, if it's snowing or icy when you leave your home in the morning, please bring your garbage cans to the end of your driveway. Thank you for helping protect our employees in doing so. Please continue to bring them to the end of your driveway until you have a clear path to your garbage cans. That's the other part of it. Holiday closures, we're going to be closed on February 19th in observance of President's Day, and there will also be no garbage or recycling collection on that day, and the recycling center will also be closed.
Okay, I just had one quick question. On Wednesday, the 21st, when we do the presentations by the garage developers, I think we should probably maybe have a little, maybe 5 or 10 minute between each where residents can ask questions and...
I think it's just going to be council questions at that time. Once you choose one, then the plan was to have that developer come in with a more refined plan, and then we'd have questions from the public.
I'm okay with that. Heather, doing it that way.
Yeah, some residents are asking if they would have the opportunity to ask questions between, and it might be, I'm just thinking it might be beneficial, just understanding different perspectives. Even if it's just 5 minutes, public question or comment.
That's about all the time we would have, honestly.
Yeah, I know it's pressing the scheduling, and it's tight scheduling, and we shifted things around so that we could accommodate people. But well, let's think about it. We can figure it out. Okay. Moving on, Councilman Voigt.
Thank you. I had the opportunity to attend a Library Foundation cocktail reception at the Giordano's last Friday. Councilman Hache and Deputy Mayor Seaton were also there. Very nice evening. It was to honor the people who donate to the Library Foundation. The new town book was handed out. It's called Behold the Dreamers, which is a story about immigrants and an investment banker from Lehman Brothers during the economic crisis of 2008, 2009. It's a very good read. So that's it. Thank you.
That's a short one. Okay. I'm barely drinking my water. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you. I have a short one too. Shade Tree Commission met yesterday at 7:30 in the garden room, and there is a discussion about the up and coming year and different programs and grants that we're going to apply for and that we're involved with. April 10th, Tuesday at 7:30 at the library, Wayne Calhilly will have a discussion about trees and tree-related issues. Mr. Calhilly is the tree expert who was brought in to assess the sycamore at Graydon. He's one of the foremost experts in the area, so it should be a very interesting and lively discussion. And then the Shade Tree Commission members will be here February 28th to present to the council their recommendations for what to replace on the island once the sycamore tree is removed. So that's my report, and that's it. Thank you.
Okay, before you go, can I just, one more question for actually the village manager. Where are we storing the wood? Because that was the other question. I know we kind of talked that we would do an ad hoc committee for individuals who want to be engaged in what we should do with the sycamore, the wood. So do we have a place that we're going to be storing it?
It'll either be at our storage yard or over by our recycling area.
And so the ad hoc committee isn't like an urgency because the wood will be safe and stored and we can get that moving along over the next week.
Right. I mean, there are obviously various ways it could be used.
Okay.
But, so they're going to save the larger pieces of it and store it.
Okay,
Okay?
great, very good, thank you. Sorry about that, Councilwoman Walsh.
Okay, I don't have much, actually. I just have Citizen Safety meets tomorrow night, 7:30 in the Garden Room. I know that a lot of people have asked about safety concerns. I noticed there was some stuff on social media, so anybody that has any questions, they can come tomorrow night and have a conversation. And then my Bergen League meeting, Councilman Hache was able to attend on my behalf.
Councilman Hache.
Thank you for the intro because it's related to the meeting. So we had a chance to hear from the county executive, Jim Tedesco, and as I always do when I talk to anybody from the county, I always ask about the duck pond. You know, duck pond is county property, it's not Ridgewood, but unfortunately in its current state, it's the first thing that, you know, it's the gateway into the town, and it's the first thing people see. It's a terrible impression. I'm glad to report that that they are working on it. There was a big project done on the pond years ago, but unfortunately there was an issue with the engineering. So the water wasn't flowing in properly, and most importantly, the liner of the pond wasn't really retaining the water, so everything was just kind of leaking out. So they were trying to find ways to patch up some of the issues, and they realized that no patch was going to work, and they would actually have to redo the entire project. There is an RFP out for it now, and in addition to the liner and the proper channeling of the water from the Saddle River, they're also going to upgrade the facility with some additional upgrades just to kind of spruce the place up a little bit. So, you know, RFP's out now. I would imagine they can start to work in the spring.
Yeah, I think the Neglia Engineering did all the preliminary work, so they have their RFP out for that.
Yep.
Okay, and just to tag on to that, to all the people who weighed in on the Bergen County Park Survey and mentioned the duck pond and the state of disrepair, good job, Ridgewood. And also, just from the county executive's perspective, I was also at the meeting yesterday morning at the ungodly hour, 7:30 a.m. We will be soon seeing the very first Bergen County master plan for parks, for Bergen County parks, and so that's really exciting. It really lays out the future. So I'll start with the Jamboree Scholarship Fund. This past weekend was huge, and even though that's not a council issue, they raised over $148,000 for need-based scholarship programs. So it was really a tremendous effort and tremendous engagement with current members, current families, parents of Ridgewood High School seniors, and a lot of alumni. And so congratulations to Ridgewood Jamboree and the producers. July 4th committee met Monday evening. Once again, this year's theme is Rockin' Ridgewood, so it is supporting and music, rock music, any kind of music, highlighted in Ridgewood. And they're hoping that this will encourage some of the floats to add more music, or the schools to add more music to their floats. The cost involved with having different marching bands come in and year out is cost prohibitive at some points, and it makes it increasingly difficult to have music throughout the parade route. Community Access Network meets tomorrow evening, 7:30 p.m. in the Pat Mancuso room. The Planning Board meets Tuesday, February 20th at 7:30 PM. Prior to that, the Master Plan Advisory Subcommittee will be meeting to interview vision, those who responded to the RFQ for the vision process as part of the master plan. And the timing on this is particularly good because this really, we wanted to have the timing on this occur during the spring when most people can participate and get out and be engaged wherever we decide to have it, perhaps at the high school community campus center. So we will interview the 4 respondents to those RFQs. We'll make recommendations to the planning board. The planning board will subsequently make recommendations to the village council so we can make a determination and move forward with that. And that's the most exciting piece because that's when everybody can come in and speak to what they believe the future of the village should be in terms of whether it's facilities, land use, just what we envision the future of the village, not 10 years, not 5, not 10, not 20, but 30, 40, 50 years. And as many of us know, our master plan is more than 3 decades old, and it's really outdated and not really reflective of what we would expect from a master plan. So that's exciting for those of us who get excited about such things. And with that, we're moving on. I move the clerk read ordinance 3631 by title on second reading of the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Hashay.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. Will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3631?
A bond ordinance providing for improvements to the car GAC treatment system in and by the village of Ridgewood in the county of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $3,570,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $3,570,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance the costs thereof.
Okay. The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Hashay.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3631 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Hashay.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
The following resolutions, numbered 18-33 through 18-40, with the exception of 18-38, which will be read in full, are to be adopted by a consent agenda with 1 vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Title 59, approval, pipe appurtenances and service materials. Award contract, pipe appurtenances and service materials. Title 59, approval, tree maintenance service. Award contract, tree maintenance service. Award contract, sole provider, furnace corrosion inhibitor, ESC 532. Authorized signing of water utility easement agreements, 632 Godwin Avenue, Midland Park, New Jersey. Authorized signing of water utility easement agreements, 110 Midland Avenue, Midland Park, New Jersey. May I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Okay. Hashay.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
Okay, so 18-38, whereas there exists a need for professional land surveying services for preparation of a boundary and topographic survey of the property identified as 101 North Maple Avenue, Lot 41, Block 3607, on the village tax map for purposes of acquiring the property. And whereas the local public contracts law, NJSA 48:11-1 et sec. Requires that the resolution authorizing award of contract for professional services without competitive bids, and the contract itself must be available for public inspection. And whereas the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood is satisfied that Daniel M. Dunn, PLS and PP, Dunn Surveying and Mapping, PA, 40 East Prospect Street, P.O. Box 2, Waldorf, New Jersey, is qualified to render the necessary services in an amount not to exceed $2,200 for the preparation of the required survey of 101 North Maple Avenue, Lot 41, Block 3607 on the village tax map, as described in the attached written quote received from Dunn Surveying and Mapping, PA. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood 1, the village manager, the mayor, and the village clerk are hereby authorized and directed to execute a contract for professional land surveying services for 101 North Maple Avenue, Lot 41, Block 3607, on the village tax map with Daniel M. Dunn, PLS and PP of Dunn Surveying and Mapping, PA, 40 East Prospect Street, P.O. Box 2, Waldwick, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $2,220 for the boundary and topographic survey with setting of the 4 property corners. 2, this contract is awarded without competitive bidding as a professional service in accordance with NJSA 48:11-51A of the local public contracts law, because Dunn Surveying and Mapping, PA, having performed the services of land surveying for the village of Ridgewood for a number of years, has special and detailed knowledge as to the land surveying concerns in the village, which knowledge is particularly valuable to the village of Ridgewood. 3, the requisite pay-to-play forms will have been submitted by Daniel M. Dunn, PLS and PP of Dunn Surveying and Mapping, PA. 4, a notice of this action in accord with the aforementioned statute shall be published once in the Ridgewood News. 5, the duration of the contract for the awarded work shall be no longer than 1 calendar year from the date of the notice to proceed to Dunn Surveying and Mapping. And be it further resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified that funds are available on account number W-06-55-594-712. May I have a motion?
So move.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
No.
Walsh?
No.
And Newton.
Yes.
One sec, sorry. Okay, 18-41. Be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the specifications specifically entitled Customer Billing Portal, Communications and Consumption Analytics Software prepared by the Village of Ridgewood Water Department be and are hereby approved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood. This resolution is adopted pursuant to the authority of NJSA 59:4-6. Have a motion?
I move the resolution.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay. Hache?
No.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
No.
Walsh?
No.
And Newton.
Yes.
And 42. Whereas Ridgewood Water received bids for customer billing portal communications and consumption analytics software on December 21st, 2017. Now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the contract for customer billing portal communication analytics be and is hereby awarded to the sole source supplier, Rio Supply, Inc., 100 Allied Parkway, Sicklerville, New Jersey, for the calendar year 2018 in the amount of $157,840 with a 3-year contract for 2018, 2019, and 2020 to be renewed each year. And be it further resolved that the 2 renewable options for years 2021 and 2022 respectively will require subsequent annual contract awards. And be it further resolved that the fixed amount of the contract years 2019 through 2022 is $37,840 with an option of up to an additional $75,600 per year based on the number of water reports by the utility. And be it further resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified funds will be available from account number 8-05-55-504-570. And be it finally resolved that the Chief Financial Officer has certified the funds will be available contingent upon the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood appropriating such in the temporary budget for the year 2018 and subsequently adopting a 2018 budget to fund the full amount of the contract. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hache?
No.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
No.
Walsh?
No.
And Newton.
You know, before I vote on this, I just want to say that this, I think, is one of the most pivotal, important things that we could have done. And I commend the Water Department for being forward-looking and working hard to, just not for the purposes of conservation, but for offering a portal that gave invaluable information to our users. So I think this is a truly, we went through the details of this, we had meetings over it, missed opportunity, yes.
I just wanted to add to my no. I'm having difficulty in understanding what the return is for this. I mean, we're spending a lot of money, and I mentioned this to you before, Dan. I'd like to understand what we're going to save in costs. I'd like to understand what we're going to save in conservation. That information needs to be forthcoming in order for me to make an intelligent decision. So my answer is no.
Ordinances. We're at the ordinances.
Oh, sorry. All right. I move the first reading of ordinance 3633.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, so would the clerk please read ordinance 3633 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic, at Section 265-42, reserved parking spaces.
I move that ordinance 3633 be adopted on first reading and March 4th, 2018 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3634.
And a second? I'm sorry. Councilman Hache, was that you? Yeah, thanks.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks. Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, so will the clerk please read ordinance 3634 by title? I just want to say there's like feedback, and
There
I think
is.
that this is like
There is.
throwing everyone, so apologies, world, we're just having some like buzzing in our ears up here.
Yeah, my voice isn't that deep.
Right, it's a... So-
Okay. An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
I move that ordinance 3634 be adopted on first reading and that March 14th, 2018 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, I move the first reading of ordinance 3635.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, so will the clerk please read ordinance 3635 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood fees at Section 145-6, enumeration of fees relating to code chapters.
I move that ordinance 3635 be adopted on first reading and that March 14th, 2018 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, I move the clerk read ordinance 3632 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
White?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3632?
A bond ordinance providing for the 2018 road paving program in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $2,160,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,052,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
Public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3632 be adopted on second reading and final publication is required by law.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3625 by title on the fourth reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3625?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 190 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood at Section 122E entitled Signs in the B1, B2, and C districts to create a new subsection 190-122E7 entitled Interior Displays and amend Section 190-3 entitled Definitions as it pertains to sign and add a new definition of interior display.
The hearing on ordinance 3625 was continued to this evening's meeting due to the fact that the village council is waiting for a response from the village planning board on this ordinance, which is required because it's an amendment to the land use ordinance. The planning board has not yet given the village council its response, therefore the public hearing will be continued again to the March 14th, 2018 public meeting. Because the continued public hearing on ordinance 3625 was advertised for this evening, anyone wishing to speak on this ordinance may do so at this time. The public hearing is now continued. I move the public hearing on ordinance 3625 be continued to March 14th, 2018.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
The following resolutions, numbered 18-43 through 18-68, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Approved budget reserve transfers. Approved Bergen County concept plan improvements to traffic signals at East Ridgewood Avenue, North Maple Avenue, and Franklin Avenue, North Maple Avenue intersections. Title 59 approval, horticultural supplies. Award contract, horticultural supplies. Award contract under state contract 2018 parts and related services. Award professional services contract, on-call traffic engineering services. Award professional services contract, land surveying services, upgrade of intersections, traffic signals at Franklin Avenue, North Maple Avenue, East Ridgewood Avenue intersections. Award professional services contract 2018 land surveying services retainer for preparation of tax assessment map. Approved shared services agreement, Bergen County Police Chiefs Association, Mutual Aid Plan and Rapid Deployment Force. Declare building department vehicle surplus property. Accept donation for community center from North Jersey Masters. Accept donation windscreen Somerville tennis courts. Authorize increase of petty cash account for fleet services. Establish policy for refunds for 2018 prepaid property taxes. Authorize application for Sustainable Jersey PSE&G grant. Authorize designation of acting municipal court administrator. Approve person-to-person transfer of liquor license, Fish Ridgewood LLC to Oak Street Liquors LLC. Appoint representative to Open Space Trust Regional Committee. Appoint members to Library Board of Trustees. Appoint members to Open Space Committee. Appoint members to Ridgewood Environmental Advisory Committee. Appoint member to Ridgewood Shade Tree Commission. Appoint members to Ridgewood Green Team Advisory Committee. Appoint members to Citizen Safety Advisory Committee. Appoint members to Historic Preservation Commission. Authorize release of bid bond for public valet parking. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh? And Newton?
Yes.
And the final resolution, 18-69.
Did you want to say something?
Whereas the Ridgewood Division of Water Pollution Control operates the water pollution control facility at 561 Prospect Street, Glen Rock, New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, NJPDES permit number NJ0024791, program number 46844. And whereas the Village Planning Board recently approved several multifamily housing projects, namely Chestnut Village, Ridgewood Dayton LLC, The Enclave, and Ken Smith II in the village. And whereas the multifamily housing projects will require execution and filing of a treatment works approval, TWA, with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection, NJDEP, due to the amount of effluent to be discharged to the village's sanitary sewer collection system. And whereas the NJDEP requires that the authorized person executing a TWA on behalf of the village be authorized to do so via resolution from the governing body, now therefore be it resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood, they authorize the village engineer, Christopher J. Ruttershauser, to execute the necessary TWA applications on behalf of the Village of Ridgewood for the various multifamily housing projects. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Abstain.
And Newton.
Yes. And with that, we are going back to comments from the public, not to exceed 5 minutes per person.
Rorick, Holiday 374 Evergreen. Madam, the words I used, and I chose them very carefully, I said perceived, if not real conflict of interest, okay? Secondly, I'm shocked that no one has an idea what the cost will be for this project. No one has, you should not embark on that without having a detailed budget, what the thing is going to cost, and what the maintenance cost will be, what the operational cost will be. For you to say, oh, we have some vague ideas, that's not good. I mean, people are arguing about $10,000 here, $10,000 there. You're talking about something that will cost $1 million, if not more. Then when I talked about the historical study on why, you just came up with your typical answer, well, of course, the state asked us to do this. I don't know how your exact words, but we went to the state. Now, the question is, why can't we?
I'm sorry.
Okay, can I finish? Because I'm supposed, the public session, and by the way, I get confused. Sometimes you answer me, sometimes you don't. So can I finish, and then you can answer?
I just didn't understand what you said.
Well, I'm sorry, ma'am. I apologize, and I apologize to you.
I just want to make
By the
sure I
way,
answer you.
I think I should speak to Heather. Maybe we should take $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 to do something about the acoustics in this room. It's terrible.
We agree again.
Okay, but just, you've been married for a year and a half. Do it. Do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but anyway, again, I need, as a resident, a detailed budget for the cost to preserve and restore and the cost for maintenance before you spend one more penny. And also, I would love to see, in fact, I'm going to write to these people, the historical architects, Connolly and Hickey, and I'll send copies to all of you. I always copy things, and say, have you done any study on this? And why is it eligible? Lastly, Madam, every time I seem to speak, to express my opinion, I feel threatened by the fact you tell me, this has to stop, this has to stop. Let me tell you something. I stop when I want to stop. Unless I'm out of order, no one is going to stop me from expressing my views. My views, my ability to express my views is protected under the First Amendment of the United States Constitution. Okay? So please do not tell me to stop. I haven't insulted you. I have not said anything bad. Now, one last comment I'd like to make, unrelated. My wife gets on the Ridgewood blog, which I call the Ridgewood cesspool, in which, frankly, I'm tempted to use a term that President Trump used to describe a certain continent, but I won't, even though if he used it in the Oval Office, I could use it here. But then my wife is with me. And all at once, your supporters are beginning to play dirty games about anybody trying to come in to the campaign. I've been hearing rumors about some of the people supporting you, almost threatening people from running.
You know, I'm going to stop you, Mr.
Okay, now, but please don't stop me. Don't stop me. Let me finish.
Let me stop you.
Yeah.
I will stop you. Nobody on this village council, no one up here on this dais, has control over what individuals choose to publish, to write anonymously. We do not have control over other people's actions. I can assure you, if I had control over people's personal actions, I would summon that control and use it.
Madam, I will be 78 years old. I've seen a lot. Some things I believe, some things I do not. I'm somewhat skeptical of statements like this because I know the people on the blog, I know who they are, I know what they say here, I know what they say on the blog, and I urge you, I beg you, as a resident, to do what you can. The way they eviscerated Mr. Voigt, and thankfully they did not succeed, was shameful. And they're beginning to do the same thing with people trying to run for the village council. That is shameful. We live in the United States of America. We do not live in a banana republic. We do not live in a Soviet republic. I'm really ashamed when I see this happening. Thank you, ma'am.
I could only wish that the same commentary was offered when I, or Councilman Hache, or the Deputy Mayor, or Councilman Walsh were in the crosshairs of the blog. So I appreciate the comments, but I wish they were equal opportunity. But thank you.
Ma'am, I can tell you, I would say you're in the crosshairs of a blog maybe 1%, other people are 99%. Okay.
Doesn't matter.
So it makes me, yeah, but it makes me
Crosshairs are
think, okay.
crosshairs.
That's what I'm saying, your supporters. Thank you, ma'am.
Good evening again. Saurabh Dani, 390 Bedford Road, Ridgewood, New Jersey. Thank you.
Good evening. Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Since Mr. Hallaby opened up the subject of constitutional rights, I will say that I take exception when somebody tells me you can't take a photograph of something. The comments made by the manager now on 2 separate occasions regarding the taking of photographs of the tree, I disagree with them. You can take a photograph of anything that is within public view anytime you want, as long as you're standing on public property and that public property has not been cordoned off by the police department. So the comments made that say that you cannot, or we ask that you not take a picture of the tree after February 19th, if the tree is still standing after February 19th, anybody is legally entitled to take a photograph of that tree as long as they are standing on public property that has not been closed off by the police department or the parks department. So if the tree doesn't come down until the 25th, people could snap away legally. So please, just constitutional right to do that. I have people tell me all the time, you can't take a photograph of that, and I have to constantly remind them that, yes, if I'm standing on a public sidewalk and I am not in the way of something and I have not crossed over yellow tape, you can take a photograph of it. So please, let's not violate somebody's constitutional rights by telling them that they can't take a photograph of something. Many of us were quite taken back by comments that were made by the manager in a news article, or quoted in a news article, concerning the valet parking. And I know that sometimes reporters misquote people, but if the comment that I expected it was a legit comment about the $23,000 loss to taxpayers associated with the valet program, we're quite upset by that. If any employee of the village expects that there is going to be a loss of taxpayer dollars because of a decision, something should be done about it ahead of time as opposed to allowing that loss to happen. Now, granted, this wasn't millions, it was only $23,000. But if, in fact, that quote was accurate, that the manager expected that the program would fail, why did we go through with it? So again, my apologies to Heather if she was incorrectly quoted by Nicholas Katzband, but I received a number of telephone calls today when that article appeared online by people saying, can you believe that they expected it and still went through with it? So please, in the future, if somebody expects that we're going to lose money, let's stop it before we move forward with it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Anyone else? Okay. Just for the record, I don't think anybody expected to take a loss.
And I want to say that I didn't state that, so I don't quite know where it came from, but the next time I talk to Mr. Katzben, I'll certainly discuss it with him. Thank you, though.
Yeah, and duly noted, photos, you can certainly take photos, as you rightly pointed out. So everybody say cheese, and on that, we'll take a resolution. Oh, happy Valentine's Day, yes, and say cheese. Okay, smile. And with that, we will take a resolution to go into closed session.
Be resolved by the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood that the Village Council meet in closed session on February 14, 2018 at 8 p.m. or soon thereafter as the matter on the agenda can be reached. And this said closed session be held in the caucus room of the Ridgewood Village Hall, 131 North Maple Avenue, Ridgewood, New Jersey. And be it further resolved that the matters to be discussed in closed session are limited to personnel matters to include appointments to boards and committees. These matters are allowable under NJSA 10:4-12 et sec. And be it further resolved that the minutes of this meeting shall be made available to the general public when such matters have been deemed completed by resolution of the Village Council. May I have a motion?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thank you.